The Gospel in Brief by Leo Tolstoy. Note. This translation is one of a series from Count Tolstoy's religious and philosophic writings, undertaken with his consent and approval. Made and revised directly from the Russian manuscript containing the author's latest revisions and alterations, it somewhat differs in form not only from the German and French translations but from the Russian edition. Great care has been taken, by several persons whose labors are here gratefully acknowledged, to ensure the correspondence of the translation with the author's meaning and purpose. The reader will be usefully informed that the 4 works referred to by the author in the opening of his preface to this book are as follows, namely: 1. An Introduction to a Criticism of Dogmatic Theology, a work known in English as My Confession. 2. A Criticism of Dogmatic Theology, in 3 parts, the first of which only is published in Russian, at Geneva, no part being as yet translated. 3. The 4 Gospels harmonized and translated, also in 3 parts, 2 of which have been recently published in English. 4. My Faith, known in English as My Confession and My Religion. The world that reads has everywhere heard of Tolstoy as the exponent of certain strange-seeming and revolutionary doctrines, which he identifies with the teaching of Jesus. Numbers of people everywhere have read one or another of the works in which those doctrines are presented. But there are very few people indeed, anywhere, who are aware that now, for 15 years or more, Tolstoy has carried forward a wide, systematic, and thorough scheme of work, explaining and reinforcing his position on all points and sides, some results of which are evidenced in the foregoing enumeration. Those who seek to learn from him, alike with those who would oppose him, must, if earnest and honest, remember that in Tolstoy's writings they have to reckon with a system of thought, of principles, of life. It is not enough lightly to accept or cast aside some idea or statement taken in detachment from its context. We have to deal with a system the parts of which stand or fall together. And anyone who realizes this may know also that there has nowhere risen one single competent critic of Tolstoy. He has said what he has to say without a shadow of real opposition. Is it that no one can oppose? This present book, then, may be taken as the author's deliberate and careful endeavor to simplify, summarize, and emphasize all that he has before said as to Jesus and his teaching. No discussion of points or conclusions is attempted, and readers who may be startled by, and who may discredit the new and subversive readings of the gospel story they will here discover, must turn to the 4 Gospels harmonized and translated to find the discussion and justification of them. A word as to what may be the value of this book. We have in Tolstoy one who for nearly 70 years has taken his part in life. He has known and shared the life of the rich and great, and of the poor and humble. Travel, learning, war, all have come in his way. If the world be known to any man, it surely is known to him. And for nearly a lifetime he has ranked, not in his own country merely, but through Europe, as a supreme observer and revealer of life. In War and Peace, in Anna Karenina, he has reproduced, as is commonly said, life itself. In all those writings of his first period which made his fame, there shines the one large, profound, and simple spirit of truth and good purpose. Into his life, when past its mid-period, there comes a sudden illumination, and there transpires a spiritual change such as marks the creation of every prophet the world has had. He feels the unreasonableness, the nothingness, of the life of the world as he lives it, and sees it lived around him. In his mind, man's problems of death, of his relation to the universe, of his relation to his fellows, arise in one great demand for a reasonable solution. And the solution is found in the gospel of Jesus. But not in the gospel according to the churches. Here, in this book, is the man Jesus, as men may with a true faith and without superstition understand him. Here, resurrected for modern times by the belief of one greatly learned in human nature and life, moves and breathes and teaches the supreme man of Nazareth, such a one as you and I may reasonably accept. It is to be believed that many reading this book, even though feeling that all their doubts are not solved, all their demands not satisfied, may come to say, "Whereas I was blind, now I see." In this work the author has written the language of the Russian people, simple and idiomatic, and therefore peculiarly difficult in some points of translation. and he has replaced allusions not clear to the people in Russia by such as are clear to them. Thus, the mustard seed of Matthew 13:31 here becomes a birch seed. The essential meaning of the gospel is followed, rather than the strict letter, which killeth. End of note.